Hi everyone, this is HM&S video number 38 and you are most welcome for it. For the few years that I've trained Excel, I've realized that very many people are failing to master how to use Excel functions because they don't know what to follow when they're constructing a formula in Excel. That's why today we're going to talk about formula elements, a topic that's always ignored by very many people but very important. Look at this. When I come to the cell J1, then I type equals to. The moment I start typing any letter, like for example S, you can see function that's matching whatever I'm typing will start popping up like this one. Now, if I type like sum, you can see my search is now narrowed down to only those functions. Now, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is and why are they there? Now, if I hit tab to select the sum function, do you know what this one is? Do you know why this one is bolded and this one is actually not bolded? Do you know why this one is not having a square bracket but this one is actually having that square bracket? And many more that we are actually going to see in this video. Now, if you get to understand all those ones, why they are there and how to use them, there's no way you're going to fail to use any function in Excel. Let's switch on to it and we get to know more about formula elements in Excel. Now, before we go further, I'm going to show you different ways how you can get functions in Microsoft Excel. When you click on a cell where you want the function to be put, like for example, I'm going to click on J4, then I come to the formulas tab, you have the function library group here. Now this function library group is where you can see all the functions in Microsoft Excel. You can not only see it, you can actually see it and even insert it from there. Guess what? The functions are actually very many. Now in order for you to go to the one you want very quickly, it has actually been put into different categories. This is a category, this is another category, this is another category. The first category here is where you can get the aggregate functions. When you click on this drop down arrow, you can see these are the aggregate functions. We have the recently used. Now if you want the financial functions, you can click on financial function and you see they are here. You can even scroll through to see others. We have the logical functions, the text functions, date and time, lookup. You can even click on more functions. Then you get others like statistical functions, engineering functions, cube, information, and the rest here. Now, on each of these categories, when you click on this, down here, there is insert function. When you click on finance, down here, there is insert function. All of this, even if you come to more function, click on statistical function, down here, there is insert function. Now, that very insert function is also found here. And also, people always wonder what is the importance of this f of x. It's actually the insert function. When you click on it, you can see it gives you the insert function dialog box. It's actually the same as clicking on this one, where it also gives you the insert function dialog box. Or you can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift F3 and it will also gives you the insert function dialog box. Now this insert function dialog box can actually do a number of things. You can see here is saying search for a function. That means you can type a brief description of what you want here, then the function will pop up here and then you select it. Now the category here is actually those categories we saw up there. You can click on it, then you see they are here. Then the function library is also here where it's listing for you the functions depending on these categories. Then down here we have the description. Now this is the function description and this is what's called the screen tips. We shall see more about it. Now if I want to do something in Excel but I don't know which function exactly I can use, that's when this insert function dialog box can actually be very important. Here is saying type a brief description of what you want to do and then click go. Now let's try to do that and we see what's going to happen. Remember, select a category is still saying statistical. Let's say I want to predict the future. So I'm going to come here, then I'm going to type predict future. Now let's click go and we see what's going to happen. The select category is now saying recommended and it's recommending for me these functions here. So these are the functions that I can use to predict the future. Now let's also try some numbers. When I click go, you can see it's now recommending for me these functions here to some numbers. Now, each and every time you select a function, it's going to be highlighted in blue, showing that that function is actually selected. Each and every function you select from here, you can see what's called a screen tip here and the argument and also the function description down here. Let's say the one I want is sum. I can select it. If I want to insert it into the cell, right now, let me first scroll this one down. You can see this is the cell that I've currently selected. The moment I click OK, you can see it insert for me that function in the cell. And also you can see it on the formula bar Then also it opens for me another dialog box, the function argument dialog box. Now this function argument dialog box is actually very important. I'm going to show you more about it later on. But let's first close it. You can also get your function from the function library group here. With this cell still selected, for example, if I also want to do the sum again, I can go to the category that's having the aggregate function, which is auto sum. Click on the drop down, the sum is here. I can simply click it once. You can see the sum function is actually inserted in this cell. I'm going to hit escape. Also with the cell I want the function to be inserted selected, I can also go to the formula bar, click. The moment I click equals to, I'm already telling Excel that I want to do a formula. Now when I type equals to on the formula bar, you can also see on the cell that I've selected, the equal sign is also put there. The moment I start typing the function name, like for example S, you can see the function library also pops up, but it's giving me only the function that's matching whatever I'm typing here. You can also realize that since I started typing from the formula bar, the function library is actually put below the formula bar, not below the cell that I've selected. Now let's do sum, tab to select it, and you can see that it is put in the cell also. But also this is what's called the screen tip. It's also put below the formula bar. But guess what? If I hit escape, come to the cell, click on the cell, then I start typing from that cell without clicking the formula bar, equals to sum. You can see the function library now it's not put below the formula bar, it's actually put below the cell where I selected. So it's actually your choice. If you want the function library to pop up below the formula bar, then you need to click on the formula bar before you put the equal sign. But if you want the function library to pop up below the cell you have selected, then you simply need to click on the cell, start typing equals to, and you will see the function library popping up below that cell. First of all, I've already told you this is the function library. Now each of these functions here is having a function description. This thing you are seeing here is a function description. It describes briefly what the function does. Each and every function has that description. The sum function, you can see the description is here. Sum if, sum product, all of this. And guess what? This function description, you can actually click on it, then you drag it using this cursor you are seeing here. Now, if I click on the sum function, the moment I hit tab to select it, I get what is called a screen tip. Now, this screen tip also, you can go to it using your cursor. The moment you see your cursor changes to this, you can click and then you drag it to where you want the screen tip to be placed. This screen tip is actually the most important part you need to understand very well. It is what guides you when you're using functions in Excel. Let's see. Here, the name of the function is the sum, and in bracket, we have number 1 separated by comma, there's number 2, and there's comma, dash, dash, dash. Then if I scroll it up a little bit, now you will always see the name of the function, and then bracket, and whatever is put in the bracket is actually what's called an argument. The argument that's bolded is the current argument that you are working with. Each and every argument is always separated using a comma. Whenever you see any argument in Excel that's having a square bracket, that means that argument is actually not compulsory. You can actually enter your function without putting anything in that argument. Every function you use in Excel will always have this argument, and you have to follow it if you want to use a function very well. For example, for the sum function, we have in number 1 as the first argument, comma, and then the second argument is number 2, which is put in square bracket. That means we can actually leave that argument without putting anything, and the sum function will allow us to enter that formula. Now, if I want to sum all this one, this is meaning I need to put the first number, then I hit comma, put the second number, then I hit comma, put the third number, just like that. You can see even from the screen tip, each and every time I hit comma, another number is placed there. Now we have number 3, that's the current argument that I'm in, that's why it's bolded. Comma, again, you can see number 4 is bolded, that means I'm currently on the first argument. Since you can see all these arguments here, they are in square bracket, I'm going to backspace, 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 backspace. For the case of the aggregate functions, Excel actually allows you to put all the numbers, or the array of numbers in the first argument. Much as it's saying number 1, you can actually highlight the entire range of values like this, and all of them will be put in the first argument, that is number 1. And when you close your bracket and hit enter, you can see Excel is giving you the correct answer. Now this happens only for the aggregate function. The functions you saw here can allow that. Now, in order to emphasize that one, let's do another function called the VLOOKUP. So I'm going to click on this cell. Now, we are having this salary here, and each of these salary needs to be taxed. So I'm having the tax for each department here. The finance, statistics, and sales department, they all pay different percentage of tax. So I need to first bring this tax here depending on which department the person is. So I'm going to come here, and since the tax is in another table, that one is actually a very good job for VLOOKUP to bring them into the master table. So I'm going to do equals to VL, and you can see VLOOKUP is popping up. Now this is a function, this is the function description. When I hit tab to select it, I have the screen tip. Now you can see this time around, let me first scroll it just a little bit down so that we see the screen tip very well. VLOOKUP, then in bracket we have the arguments. The first argument is the lookup value. It's not in square bracket. That means it's a must. You have to put something in that argument. It's bolded. That means currently we are on that argument. Now our lookup value is going to be the departments. So I'm going to click on this department and then comma. The moment I hit comma, you can see we are now on the table array, and the table array is actually bolded. That means we are no longer on the first argument, the lookup value, we are now on the table array. Now this table array is the table where you want to go and get something from. So I'm going to highlight this table like this. Now since I'm going to copy my formula down, I'm going to lock that using the F4 key. Watch what's going to happen here. The moment I hit comma, you can see the table array is no longer bolded. We're now on the column index number, which is the third argument for VLOOKUP. Now for the column index number, we just need to tell VLOOKUP from the table we have highlighted which column do we want to pick the item from. So I'm going to count 1, 2, so I want the tax, so I'm going to put there 2. Now I want you to realize something. We have the third argument here called the range lookup. Now this range lookup is having a square bracket. Remember I told you the argument that's having the square bracket is actually not compulsory. That means right now if I'm to close my bracket and when I hit Control Enter, you can see VLOOKUP is actually allowing me to enter that. I'm going to hit the F2 key to put this in edit mode. Backspace. VLOOKUP actually does two types of lookup. It does the approximate match lookup and then the exact match lookup. For this case here, we want the exact match lookup, not the approximate match. Now someone might ask, let me first scroll this one down. Why is it that some arguments are actually optional? They're actually not necessarily optional, but Excel always have some default behaviors for some functions. Like for example, for this range lookup, when I click comma, it will give me two options. There's approximate match lookup and then the exact match lookup. Those are the two lookups that VLOOKUP actually does. Now by default, VLOOKUP always do approximate match lookup. That means if you leave this optional argument out, VLOOKUP will actually do approximate match lookup. That's why I've said it's literally not optional, but that's always just a default behavior of that particular function. But if you want to do the exact match lookup, then you need to go to that argument, then you change it to the exact match lookup. So for our case here, I'm going to use false or true for exact match lookup, or I can just go to it. When I see it highlighted in blue, I can double click it to put it there, or I can simply hit tab to select it. Then I'm going to close my bracket. Now, if you already know the default behavior of a certain argument in Excel, then you can leave it out. Then the function will put for you the default behavior of that argument. But if you don't know it, then you can go and select it. So I'm going to Control Enter, then I'm going to copy my formula down just like this. Now let me get the net salary. So I'm going to come here, do equals to, I'm going to get the salary times, I'm going to put in bracket 1 minus the tax. Now if I do 1 minus the tax, that means I want to get net salary. If I was to multiply it just by the tax, it was going to give you just the tax amount, but I want to get the net salary. That's why I'm doing 1 minus the tax. Control Enter, then I'm going to copy this one down. So that's actually very important for you to know. Each and every time you're using a function in Excel, you need to follow the screen tip. Actually, go argument by argument. If you don't know the default behavior of any argument, even if you're seeing the square bracket, first hit comma, go to the argument, and then you select whatever you want from that argument. There's no problem doing that. Now somebody might ask me, how can we know the default behavior for any argument? Let me show you. Let's say the sort function that we have just seen, tab to select it. Now before I put anything on the first argument, if I come to the insert function here, the f of x, which is before the formula bar, when I click on it, it opens for me the function argument dialog box. This is the dialog box that we saw before. Let me first scroll it down here. Now you can see each and every argument is actually put on its own row. You can see down here, it's giving me actually a description of that very argument. Now, if it's an argument that's having some default behavior, it will also tell you in the description here. Like, for example, when you come to the sort order, you click, you can see for the sort order, it's saying a number indicating the desired sort order. 1 for ascending order, which is the default. Then -1 for descending order. That means if you leave that argument out, by default, it will do for you ascending order. Excel will put for you 1 there, and it will do for you ascending order if you leave it out. So that's just an example of how you can get to know the default behavior for any argument. So I'm going to click Escape to remove that. I'm going to do the same VLOOKUP that we have done here. Click here, and then right click, go to Insert, click here, Control C, click here, Control V. This time around, we're going to do it using the function argument box. So I'm going to click here, do equals to VL, tab to select it. Now before I put any argument here, I want to go and put all the arguments using the function argument box. So I'm going to click F of X to open up the function argument box. This is it. Now the first one is the lookup value. I'm simply going to click on finance. So let me first scroll down. Now you can click or you can simply use tab to go to the next argument down here, which is the table array. Each and every time you come here, you will see the description of whatever you are supposed to put there. Then also, each and every time you put something on the argument, you will also see the answer for whatever you put here, but at the side here. Then the final answer, what the formula is going to result to, will also be put down here. So the first one is the lookup value, which we have just put here. You can see it's even saying finance. Then the table array, I'm going to highlight this table. Then I'm going to hit F4 to lock it. Now this time around, I'm going to click for the column index number. I'm going to count 1, 2. I want the text which is in the second column, so I'm going to put 2. Now the first argument here is bolded. That means it's compulsory. I need to put something there. The second argument here is table array, compulsory. You can see it's bolded. Then the third one is the column index number, also compulsory. That's why it's bolded. Then the third one is the lookup range. So I'm going to come here and type false. You can put it in any case. Now you can see here is giving me the final result for the VLOOKUP, and it's always the same for the formula results down here. This one is telling me $0 because you remember we inserted a column here, and it's actually getting the formatting from that column, which is currency number formatting. But when I click OK, I can actually highlight the entire column like this one here. When I go to home, you can see it's saying currency, but when I come to this, then I wipe out the number formatting using general. When I click on general, you can see we are now getting our same tax here. So I can click on this, then copy my formula down. Now there's actually one last thing that I want to show you before I end this video. When I click on that cell, when I do equals to, there's a function called rank in Excel. On the function library, I'm having this rank and also percentile rank. You can see those two functions are actually having the yellow triangle before it, but the rest of the functions are actually not having. What does that mean? It means those functions are actually there just for compatibility mods. Excel has already released some function to replace them, but they have left them there for compatibility mod. Like for example, if I click on the rank, you can see it's saying this function is available for compatibility with Excel 2007 and earlier. I'm going to hit Escape. Now, if you want to see all the compatibility mod functions that is there in Excel, you can also come to the Formula tab. Then you come to More Function. Then you can see there's compatibility here. When you hover over to it, you can see all these functions here. They're just there for compatibility. The rank that we have just seen is here. Yeah, that is it about formula elements in Excel. I've done that because from our next video, we're going to start talking a lot about how to use different Excel functions. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And if you found this video interesting, give it a like, then you share it with your friends. This is a video where we talked about filter function in Excel. You can click on it, then you go and watch it. Until next video, HM&S video number 39, and then we meet again. Thank you.